With its membership base now running into several thousands, the Accord Party in Rivers State is fast emerging as the main challenger in the race for the Brick House, the official seat of power in Port Harcourt. With the governorship election now only about a month away, the factors that could determine the outcome may range from geopolitical considerations to delivering governance that wears a real human face. Joining us in the studio now is Nemeboka to talk more on this. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Now, there's an impression about Rivers State and elections. It comes with violence and, hurt accusations. What do you think we should expect this time? And why does it feel that your candidate, Dumolulu Briggs, seems to have a different kind of campaign?
Yeah, well, first thing first, you have violence when it's a reflection of the kind of candidates and the disposition of the political parties. Now, with Accord Party and with Chief Dumolulu Briggs, the narrative is changing. Chief Dumolulu Briggs, as known across the state, is a man of peace, a humanitarian who reaches out to people and who connects with people. Across the state, people tell you that he's probably the most popular person in the state. But we know that politics is not just about popularity. He is a decent man, and so his followers are led according to his disposition. And so in the upcoming elections, we expect to see decency as against what we're used to.
Okay, but let's also talk about the zoning of the governorship in that state. We've had more people from the upland of Rivers State, and Lulu Briggs is from the riverine areas. Do you think he has great chances to win? We've had past governors mainly from the upland. Do you think his chances are really high?
Yes, his chances are obviously very high. In fact, that's the concern of those who are concerned about stopping him. Their worry is that if he's on the ballot as he is, then his chances of winning the elections would be, almost there. The issue of riverine upland dichotomy, as they like to say, isn't actually a problem. It's an understanding. In every human society, you have this ding-dong thing. Absolutely. There is north, there is south, there is white, there is black, and that's the way it is. You could even go religious and say there's Christianity and there's Islam.
Absolutely.
And it's proper for human coexistence to balance it. From creation, we had a river state that had a riverine governor, and then after a riverine governor, riverine people and others, everybody said, look, it's time to have an upland governor. So everybody has that sense of belonging. And then we got into 1999 and elected Dr. Peter Odili. And then at the end of his tenure, of course, we know the manipulations that take place in the political system ahead of elections to that the electorate vote. And so it was manipulated, and Celestine Omeya became governor. He was, and then he was brought in by the courts, and after that he continued. And at the end of his tenure, thinking across the state, and this thinking is both on both sides. Uplanders are concerned about power returning to the riverine. Riverine people are concerned about having a feel of governance again. Okay. But then we had a situation where someone took advantage of relationship, because some people at some point felt that they needed some strong man to help them confront someone they considered a problem, and then someone presented himself as their man Friday, and the reward for that activity was the governorship of the state. So as it were, that governorship was not because Rivers people elected, it was because someone chose to be rewarded with what was due the other section.
So as it is now, for Rivers people, upland and the riverine, it's time for someone from the riverine area to govern the state.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay, so I'll take you on governance in Rivers State, industrialization, wealth creation. How do you think your candidate plans to manage the resources of the state to have a better state? River State is a big state, 13%, comes to River State. How do you think this can be managed? And of course, there's an issue of how to manage water resources in the state and environmental pollution. What are the plans?
Now, thanks for your question. We are talking about someone who has done it before in the private sector. Someone who grew from being a lawyer and went into business, and he started by working for his father and then grew that company from where it was into one of the biggest oil conglomerates in the country at the moment. And then when it was time to take a leave from his father's business, he took a leave from his father's business and started his own business, and today is ranked amongst the most successful businesses around. Now, that same person is an employer of labor consistently, and he has done it, raised various ventures from humble beginnings, and is today, by every standard, a very successful businessman. That same acumen, that same passion, that same vision is what he expects to bring on the table for Rivers people.
Of course, business is different from governance.
Yes, of course.
It's really different from politics.
That's true. You see, the trouble we have in Rivers State and in Nigeria to a large extent is that we have too many people who see themselves as politicians. They call themselves professional politicians. And so for them, what they concern themselves about is the act of seizing power. But for one who is a professional, for one who is an administrator, his focus is development, inclusive development. And when you begin to exhibit it in the sphere of business, all you need to do is to add the human angle to it, and then it becomes, you do it better in the public sphere. And I'm sure Dumelo Lubricks is adequately equipped to do that for Rivers people.
Okay, Rivers State is tough, and you're talking about a gentleman in Rivers State. Do you think it's possible for him to upset the incumbent? How do you think he can do this?
Good. I'll tell you this. In 2003, that was the height of militancy in the Niger Delta, and Rivers State Port Harcourt was the hotbed. At some point, the then governor, Dr. Peter Odili, wanted to impress Chief Olusegun Obasanjo and others. He wanted to create an impression that he had the state under control. And so they spent plenty of money, and they mobilized young people, youths across the state, militants of every ramification or group. They came together for money's sake, and they did a march that was televised nationally for Peter Odili, the then governor. While they were applauding him, if you have control of this number of youth, then the state is in your pocket. The same youths went to Chief Dumelo Lubricks then and said, look, we know you can't afford to give us the kind of money that we got from this government. But just so we make a statement and tell the people that, yes, we took money to do this march, but our hearts are with you. They left, they met him and said, we wanted to do a march. And then in less than 2 weeks, there was a massive march that was even bigger than what Peter Odili paid for.
So we're expecting massive support this time.
What we're saying essentially is that the people know him and they connect with him. He doesn't have to ask anyone to throw a knockout, but the people will go out and insist that he be elected.
Let's see how this plays out. Dason Nemeboka, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.